Casting the drums, that's what we're going to talk about right now. So you've probably read about this, hopefully, in the book, How to Produce a Record by yours truly. And I talk about casting the drums as in casting a film, casting an actor for a role. So I cast certain elements of the drum set per song, depending on what I'm looking for. So most of you might not have the luxury of having an accumulation of drums to work with, but I will talk to you what I do and how I do it. For almost everything that I record, in fact everything I record, drums, I still use acoustic drums, and it ends up that, you know, other than acoustic guitars or mandolins or violins or vocals and drums, those are the only acoustic things that really get recorded. Everything else is either directly into the box or through some sort of reamped amplifier or something in a controlled situation. So the one constant that I do have is the kick drum. So in this case, I have the head off the kick. I've got a what I call phony calf skin. It's a vintage style kick drum head, and I use a wooden beater with a little felt on the front. There's round beaters, there's fuzzy beaters, metal beater. I'm sure there's metal beaters, there's wood beaters. So they're all different kinds that you can dial in depending on what you want to use as a producer. You can have a head on the front or not. For me, this kick drum pretty much stays the same for everything I do, and it matches up to the bass. So the two things that I don't really change from song to song is pretty much the sound of the bass and the kick drum. They're the constant, and they're usually locked to the grid, so they're on the beat. You can't play behind the beat unless you have the beat to play behind. So the kick drum to me is never behind the beat, and the bass is never behind the beat. They're on the beat. So I want to show you some drums. You might be using a friend to play drums, or you're hiring a guy. If you're hiring a professional, he's probably going to be able to bring a couple of different snare drums to use. This is how I do it. So this is a black metal snare drum. Not a fan of metal snare drums in the studio, but for live they're terrific, especially if you're playing in a moderately loud band or a rocking situation, country rock or a blues band or something of that nature, or a blues rock band. It's got a metal ring, and so it would be great for side stick in using for a ballad or a country song or anything you need to do side stick. I love the metal ring around it. So this is a Chad Smith Black Beauty Pearl drum. Anyway, that's that one. Grab this one. This is called a Piccolo snare. It's smaller and narrow, and it's very bright. I will have, when I'm done with this, I'm going to have a professional drummer, my friend Jeff Sorensen, is going to just hit through these drums a little bit and show you what's going on with them. Anyway, this is a real cracker snare that cracks. So it might be something up-tempo, something rocking, something you want to really hit a backbeat with. This is a wood snare, a deeper one, and you might use it for backbeats on ballads. Something medium to slower tempo rock songs. It's got a paper ring on it. You know, don't be afraid to use tape and anything that you can think of that you want to alter the sound of the drum. So you might be able to get 2 or 3 different sounds out of one drum, depending on what you're looking for. This drum is an interesting drum right here. It's got a ring on it that adjusts it. But the thing about this drum is, this drum gets used a lot. It's cardboard. So it's like tubing that you would use to do ducting in your home that you would run air through. And they're called pre-tuned. So they were PTS pre-tuned drums. I don't think they make them anymore. They had a whole drum set. They had padding that went inside. So they were like a junior drum set that you could buy. And you could pad it down to like drum pads, so you could practice at home in your bedroom, and then you could, as you pulled the foam off, they're not tuned. You just flip the lever like a suitcase and take the head off or on. This drum gets used an awful lot. We usually, once we pull this out to listen to it, it usually stays out, and it's been used on a lot of records. It's called PTS. Hi-hat, of course. I have a smaller hi-hat. I'm not a big fan of cymbals. So this is a hammered Zillen small. Obviously, tricks you can do. Put your tambourine on top of it if you want. I also love to go to IKEA and walk around and hit things, bring a stick, but I got this as different sounds that you can get out of it. Broken cymbal. Don't throw them away. They make great crash sounds of any kind of industrial or any way you want to create it. Actually, we actually use this cymbal as well. Sometimes you might want to put tape strips underneath the cymbal. This cymbal already has some tape on it. Then things to hit them with, which obviously sticks are part of the scene, but you know, brushes. You can use tighter brushes, fan out your brushes. A guy in a club was making these, and he gave them to me, and they're terrific, really bright, really great. I really like those. Tambourine with a head on it. You can use shaker sticks. So you're getting a maraca sound and a stick sound at the same time, you know, hitting a drum. 2 for the price of 1. My favorite things are percussion paddles. So I like bongos, you know, you don't get to use them a lot. They're great for using for samples to create things. So I bought this Latin percussion, I think it's an LP. What is it? M-E-I-N-L?
Minell.
Minell, okay. Anyway, these are bongos. Now, percussionists that play all the time have hands. In other words, their hands are calloused and they're pads. So I got these things because they're very consistent when you hit them. It's not at the mercy of me not having hands, because I might use the bongos once every 6 months or 8 months, whatever. Percussion paddles, very cool. And then take into consideration that this is a solid wood bongo. How many different sounds do I have? It's all over the place. That's a great sound right there. So you can experiment with different sounds. Percussion paddles are really cool, and they're a cool thing even for a producer to have. They're a cheap investment to be able to have a handful of things that you bring to a session that maybe the drummer didn't think of, or you don't have to, if you can't afford to hire a percussionist. So that's getting you started on thinking on how you want to cast the drums. Pretty much the kick drum stays constant, and you decide what on the tempo and the style of song that you're doing is the snare drum you're going to use, and then how you use the cymbals, if you add percussion to the track, or you want to do the percussion later, funny sounds, plastic drums, any kind of crazy stuff. You might walk around IKEA, be tapping on stuff. I found some really interesting things. My buckets, I enjoy my buckets. So this comes under the heading of how to produce a record, casting the drums. This is what I do. This is how I cast what is to be played by the drummer on any specific song, casting the drums.